Alright, cool. Making a new video. Um, Essentially, what I wanted to speak about is a topic. I think the title will be something like "Awakening helps, but it doesn't solve the problem. To some degree, it just makes you more aware of it." So, I remember when I first heard about just the concept of awakening, enlightenment. This was like over 10 years ago. Um, and I kind of became like a bit obsessed about it, which is which is why I feel that I know quite a lot about it. Of course, no one has a complete image, but some people know more than others. So, and I feel I have a decent grasp on a lot of these topics. Not because I'm special or anything like that, but it's just that how can I put it? I was exposed to it quite early at a young age, and I just became obsessed, and I was just studying it all the time, listening to different people, questioning myself, using all the methods, meditation, psychedelics, anything you could think of. Um, but essentially, what even kind of got me hooked on the idea of like spirituality or awakening or any of this kind of stuff um, was this idea that it's the end of suffering, that you'll be experiencing like bliss at all times, you'll be at the peak at all times, this kind of idea. And that's kind of how it is sold to a lot of people. And now I do understand why it's sold that way. It's because to the common man, like you just wouldn't really give a shit about these things unless there's kind of a carrot being dangled like ahead of you. Like unless you feel like you're getting something out of it, you're not gonna really try and pursue it. But at the same time, there is a lot of value in awakening. Like it's not something, how can I put it, just completely arbitrary or worthless. Like it is extremely profound, and how significantly it can impact your life and change the way you view life, and the way you even behave in life, and what you do, the decisions you make, the way you view reality, the way you view yourself. It can completely just 180 switch the way you view reality. And for in a more accurate way, you'll start to see reality more accurately. However, and so these kind of gurus or these teachers or whatever who kind of promote these things, they themselves, of course, there's many fake gurus and stuff who just want to make money, and even real gurus want to make money. But of course, it's just like everyone still needs to make money to survive. That whole idea of if you're spiritual, you're not going to charge anyone. Like that's all some fake illusion. Um, but essentially, if there are real spiritual masters who've attained to real wisdom, they themselves have first-hand experienced how it benefited them, and they want to share that. It's just the same as anything else in life. Like if you're experiencing something really good, like if you get a lot of money and your life gets enriched, you might not want to share your money with your enemies, but with your friends, with your family, you're gonna want to share that. Anytime you have something good, you want to share it. That's in a sense what love is. The you're sharing the enjoyment of life together. That's kind of what a relationship is supposed to be. That's what everyone's kind of dreaming for. So essentially, they want to share this, but they know that if they say it completely outright the way it is, the work that you'll have to put in, all of these kinds of things, the sacrifices you'll have to make, they know that people won't invest in it. Even the people that it would benefit, right? So that's the reason why they kind of have to glamorize it a little bit, make you think that, yeah, you're just going to be in bliss all the time and all of this kind of stuff. And all of those things aren't necessarily false. But as I've explained in some of my other videos, the bliss isn't really like how you would how you would expect it to be. Like before, as I explained, I think in my bittersweet is God's favorite flavor. I explained that, like, when I was originally thinking of the bliss and feeling these spiritual highs, I thought I was kind of thinking more like of ecstasy. Like you're just gonna be like, just like wow, like wow, like some excited 3-year-old kid, but just all the time. That's kind of what I was thinking it'll be like, but it's not really like that. Instead of essentially being like an infinite peak that never drops, that's kind of like what the brain thinks it's like. It's not like that. It's more that you're just content at the baseline. So it's like you feel good and content without needing to be at a peak. See, everyone else, yeah, like, wait, I thought of a good little analogy. I'll just draw this quickly. Literally take me like 30 seconds. One sec. So like you could just say that that's the peaks and valleys, right? That's the peak, that's the valley, that's the baseline. And the way humans are usually conditioned is we kind of have it in a way to where if you're just chilling at your baseline, you feel unsatisfied. You don't feel fulfilled at your baseline. You feel like you need to do something, achieve something to feel satisfied. So it's kind of like, imagine this line here. This dotted line, you could imagine that dotted line is the satisfactory level. Like that's the threshold. You need to hit that threshold to feel satisfied and fulfilled. See, so this is why everyone, like normal humans or just just humans in general, are always chasing like dopamine spikes and quick instant gratification, because they don't feel satisfied at their baseline. So they feel like they need to like do something, achieve a peak to just hit that threshold of feeling satisfied. But when it's like this, you'll see that satisfaction is always impermanent. Like it's always just there for a second and then it's already gone. You see? So essentially what the bliss that these spiritual teachers are actually speaking about is bringing this dotted line down to your baseline to where you feel satisfied at your baseline. So you don't really need anything. So the peaks are just a bonus. That's how it's supposed to be. Peaks are supposed to be a bonus. It's not supposed to be to where you need peaks just to feel satisfied or just to feel like good for a second. Like it's not supposed to feel like that. So this is kind of more what they're speaking about, like eternal bliss and the escape of suffering and all that kind of stuff. And when they're speaking about the escape of suffering, they're not speaking about escaping all pain and suffering, but they're speaking about escaping unnecessary suffering, like, because a lot of the suffering that people are experiencing nowadays with a lot of these mental health crises as well, anxiety, depression, a lot of all of this stuff is kind of self-created suffering, to where yes, they may be in a dire situation or they may be in uncomfortable situations which creates pain or discomfort, but it's that they resist it and they reject it, and then that resistance against the pain multiplies the pain, which causes suffering. So when you kind of become stable in that baseline, you no longer need the peaks to feel satisfied. You feel satisfied at your baseline. And when you're in the valleys, you're going to be aware that it's just a valley and that it's just transitory and it's not absolute. And also, you're not going to make the valleys even deeper than they need to be by resisting it, because you know that it's just a natural cycle of life, right? So those are actually true benefits that you do get from awakening. However, See, if you're trying to escape like suffering and pain completely to where you feel no suffering and no pain at all, then that can literally only be accomplished by being dead. Like, it's literally impossible to be alive and not experience pain and suffering. I'm not saying that you can't create a life where you experience less pain and suffering. Of course, that's possible. Um, but it's literally like life is impossible without discomfort and tension and some kind of degree of pain. I'm not saying it needs to be as painful as it is, but it needs some degree. Um, right. So if that was your kind of goal to like escape all suffering, and you believe that achieving awakening or realizing the truth will get you there, or realizing God and being one with God or praying to God will like get rid of your suffering, then awakening's not really gonna it's not gonna really solve your problem. As I said in the title, it's just gonna make you more aware of the problem, and you might even then cause yourself even more suffering because you thought that there was a way out, and now you're becoming blatantly aware of the fact that it's literally impossible to never experience discomfort or pain. Right? It's just inevitable, and it's impossible to escape it. So that's essentially kind of what I wanted to speak about. Um, yeah, and see, power, they say like knowledge is power, and it is to some degree. Knowledge isn't power like only when you attain it. It's usually powerful when you attain knowledge and then like use it like in action. You use the knowledge you've gained to now make your life better. That's when it becomes powerful. Just attaining knowledge itself isn't power. But that's in a sense the positive side of gaining knowledge, is that it can be transformed into power, but at the same time, the more you know, the more you can suffer as well. It's almost like I feel almost like the people who are the most wise have suffered the most. Um, yeah, I'm just thinking if there's any extra points that I kind of need to go into. I didn't want to make this one too long. So, I mean, if you have come to the point where you're okay with accepting what the truth is, no matter what the truth is, then awakening like will help you a lot, and it will be very beneficial. But at the same time, they say ignorance is bliss, and there is some truth to that. It's partially true, but it's partially false as well. Because see, ignorance is bliss in the short term, but then in the end, the people who are ignorant, they're gonna get crashed worse, right? The backlash will be even worse for them because they've been looking away from the truth, but the truth will always be true. Just because you're not looking at it or not aware of it doesn't mean it's not true. So you may get away with being in la la land for a little bit, but eventually, when it comes back round, it's going to be even worse for you. Whereas if you actually look at the truth directly in the eyes and you don't waver, right, then you may experience more suffering now. Like you may be sitting there thinking like I'm doing everything right, I'm becoming conscious, I'm working on myself, but it feels like I'm just suffering more. And then look at that person over there, some ignorant like buffoon, some fool, moron, like that's just over there, like going on holidays, doing this and that. Like it looks like they're having more fun than me, but I guarantee you, behind closed doors, you know what I'm saying? Like it might not come straight away, but eventually the backlash comes back around. That's just the way it works. I'm not saying it's karma, like some god like watching everything, but it's just literally because reality is so interwoven with itself. This is literally the law of causality, that every action has a reaction. So they will, it's not that like God needs to punish them. Their own actions will punish themselves in the end. So either you can just remain in ignorance, stay in fantasy land and have like live in the beautiful lie, but then eventually that beautiful lie is gonna get crashed when reality slaps you in the face. Or you can look at reality in the face now, maybe like maybe you might suffer a little bit more in the short term, but in the long term, you're actually going to be way better off. So, yeah, I'm just going to think again if there's anything else. No, I think I'll leave that one there.